My grandparents were very, very high ranking in the Salvation Army. My grandfather was, for a time, the superintendent of the officer school that's here in Chicago, who were very much the very, very strict, very ascetic kind of Protestantism. But that really never translated to us. We kind of went to church on Sundays. My parents were kind of very nominally Episcopalian. I think they went most of all because they had friends there. So I went to Sunday school, but it was never taken particularly seriously. I mean, we did the normal young kids thing. I mean, what kind of kid likes getting woken up at 7 o'clock on a Sunday to go sit and learn about the Bible for an hour? I certainly was not particularly a fan of that even then. It was a very, very liberal kind of religious upbringing that was not taken particularly seriously by my family. I mean, I never really thought a lot about religion or whether God exists. I mean, I had, growing up where I did, I had lots and lots of Catholic in particular and Jewish friends who, said their prayers before they went to bed at night and, were in church or temple every single weekend and went in on Wednesdays and other days. But I never really thought a lot about religion. It was mostly, oh, it's Wednesday, I can't hang out with my friend of mine who's very devoutly Catholic. That's a bummer. But it wasn't until I guess I was 14 or 15, my older brother, who was in college at the time, gave me a copy of Sam Harris's Letter to a Christian Nation. And I was just very, very much starting to get into more liberal politics. And so I read that book and it really clicked. And I was like, oh, okay. And I, read kind of the standard Four Horsemen books that were coming out at the time. And that's really when I started identifying as non-religious. Nowadays, whatever it is, 7-8 years down the line, I really, really don't ascribe to kind of what Dawkins and particularly Harris say. There's been a big transformation in my thought as an atheist since that time. But, I have to... But, there was definitely it was that book, Letter to a Christian Nation, that really kind of started me off down this path. Like I said, religion wasn't a big deal with us, so I think I mentioned it kind of offhandedly in the car with my mother one day, and she said, "Oh, you're an atheist?" And I said, "Yeah." She says, "Huh, that's interesting." And we didn't really talk about it. She in particular is now very, very supportive of what I do in my activism, particularly my blogging. My father died about 3 years ago, and he was a more conservative person, so he wasn't crazy about the fact that I was an atheist, but he also, I think, respected the fact that I had taken a viewpoint and could defend it and could argue intelligently about it. That was, abilities with rhetoric and discourse and being able to back things up with evidence was very, very much a thing that I think my father valued. I think, he was very, very happy that I took kind of a more traditional liberal arts path in school. So, like I said, I don't think he was crazy about it, but I think he respected the fact that I had this viewpoint and it was something I could defend.